Hello, friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Edutainment English. Today, my topic of discussion is The History of Sexuality, written by French philosopher Michel Foucault. The original title in French is La Histoire de la Sexualité. It is a four-volume study of sexuality in the Western world by French historian and philosopher Michel Foucault. In this book, the author examines the emergence of sexuality as a discursive object and separate sphere of life and argues that the notion that every individual has a sexuality is a relatively recent development in Western studies. There are four volumes in it. This book is completed in four volumes. The name of the first volume is The Will to Knowledge. It was first published in 1976. An English translation was appeared in 1978. The second part is called The Use of Pleasure, and the third part is called The Care of the Self. And these two parts, second and third parts, were published in 1984. Another unfinished part, that is fourth part, it is called Confessions of the Flesh, and it was published posthumously. This part was published in 2018. This book was written in French language. The subject of this book is History of Human Sexuality. In Volume 1, Foucault criticizes the repressive hypothesis, the idea that Western society suppressed sexuality from the 17th to the mid-20th century due to the rise of capitalism and bourgeois society. He argues that discourse on sexuality proliferated during this period, during which experts began to examine sexuality in a scientific manner, encouraging people to confess their sexual feelings and actions. Foucault says in the 18th and 19th centuries, society took an increasing interest in sexualities and that did not fit within the marital bond. The world of perversion that includes the sexuality of children, the mentally ill, the criminal, and the homosexual, while by the 19th century, sexuality was being explored both through confession and scientific inquiry. In volume number 2 and in volume number 3, Foucault addresses the role of sex in Greek and Roman antiquity. In the volume number 2, the title is The Use of Pleasure. Here, Foucault discusses the manner in which sexual activity was problematized by philosophers and doctors in classical Greek literature of the 4th century BC. In volume number 3, the title is The Care of the Self. Here, in this volume, Foucault discusses texts such as Onerocritica. Onerocritica is an ancient Greek treatise on dream interpretation written by Artemidorus in the 2nd century AD. And this is the first extant Greek work on this subject. It is written in 5 books. And Onerocritica means the interpretation of dreams. In later period, in 20th century, Sigmund Freud worked on this subject, on this matter. Other authors whose work is discussed include Galen, Plutarch, and Pseudo-Lucian. Foucault describes the Onerocritica as a point of reference for his work, and this Onerocritica exemplifies a common way of thinking. In volume 4, the title of this volume is Confessions of the Flesh. Here in this volume, in this draft version published and translated after his death, Foucault here traces the adoption and adaptation by early Christian societies of earlier pre-Christian ideas of pleasure. Foucault in this book asks how it is that we have come to see sex as the key to explaining us. The answer is sex has relationship with power and knowledge. Foucault criticizes the juridico-discursive conception of power as something that simply represses and restricts, taking a law-like form. Foucault, taking his position further, suggests that power is as productive as it is repressive. Power is everywhere and working in all directions. Power emerges from everywhere. Foucault identifies four major focus points. Number one, the sexuality of children. Number two, women. Number three, married couples. Number four, sexually perverse. As for Foucault, the deployment of sexuality through these 4 points always allows power to spread itself into the family and throughout society. Here, Foucault is giving a reference to establish his argument. A long time ago, in ancient Greece, everyone was extremely gay, except they were not, because no one had invented sexuality yet. They had terms for different aspects of love and sex, like aphrodisia and synosia, but they did not build identities around these desires and practices. Their performances never became a telling truth about themselves. This was the case across much of the world at one point or another, with many same-sex relationships accepted or endorsed from the wonderfully named pleasures of the beaten relationships. Pitch of Fujian through Assyrian prayers for the blessing of same-sex relationships, and Melanesian homoerotic rituals to hunter-gatherers in what is now Zimbabwe, with a slight present for homoerotic cave painting. The concept of sexuality as the idea of identities intrinsically related to one's desires didn't come into existence until around the 1880s. Main purpose of Foucault in the books is to disprove the idea that Western society had repressed sexuality since the 17th century, and that sexuality had been something that society did not talk about. The books were written during the sexual revolution in the United States. So, it was a popular belief that up until this point in time, sexuality was something that was forbidden and unmentionable. That is, throughout history, sex had been treated as a private and practical matter that should only take place between a husband and a wife. Sex outside of these boundaries was not only prohibited, but it had also been repressed. Foucault asks 3 questions about this repressive hypothesis. The first question is it historically accurate to trace that we think of sexual repression today to the rise of the bourgeoisie in the 17th century? The question number 2, is power in our society really expressed primarily in terms of regression? Number 3, is our modern day discourse on sexuality really a break from this history of repression? Or is it a part of the same history? Foucault questions the repressive hypothesis. He does not contradict it and does not deny the fact that sex has been a taboo subject in Western culture. He sets out to find out how and why sexuality is made an object of discussion. Foucault's interest does not lie in sexuality itself, but rather in our drive for a certain kind of knowledge and power that was found in that knowledge. In Foucault's eyes, the bourgeoisie wanted to control and confine sex because it threatened their work ethic. Their desire to control talk and knowledge about sex was essentially a desire to control power. Michel Foucault is not satisfied with the repressive hypothesis and uses the history of sexuality as a means to attack it. In simple language, Foucault also takes a step back and examines where the hypothesis came from and why. In volume number 2 and 3, Foucault also examines the role of sex in ancient Greece and Rome, when sex was not a moral issue but rather than something erotic and normal. Foucault answers questions such as how did sexual experience come to be an moral issue in the West? And why were other experiences of the body, such as hunger, not subject to the rules and regulations that have come to find and confine sexual behavior? According to Foucault, exploring power beyond just prohibition and censorship, Foucault claims that the power produces things. Sexuality, according to Foucault, is a recent invention, a social construct created in response to the discursive explosion, and this explosion arose in the mid to late 17th century. Until the 18th century, sex only meant sexual practice, but sexuality has become more than that. It becomes personal identity and is viewed as a part of the public interest. According to Foucault, power cannot be embodied in an institution, but rather it diffuses and multiplied. Next, repression does not derive from legal sanctions or penalties, but rather is the result of social forces of prohibition, non-existence, and silence. For Foucault, the meaning of discourse involves who does the speaking, what position they take, and what prompts them to speak. Foucault challenges to thinking about sexuality. Foucault challenges that to think about sexuality not only as a concept that is constantly changing, but also as one that has incredible durability in shaping ideology and social norms. About repressive hypothesis, Foucault says, we must abandon the hypothesis that modern industrial societies ushered in an age of increased sexual repression. We have not only witnessed a visible expulsion of unorthodox sexualities, but a deployment quite different from the law, even if it is locally dependent on procedures of prohibition, has ensured through a network interconnecting mechanisms. The proliferation of specific pleasures and the multiplication of disparate sexualities. Foucault was a French 20th century philosopher and historian who spent his career forensically criticizing the power of the modern bourgeois capitalist state, including its law courts, prisons, doctors, and psychiatrists. His goal was to work out nothing less than how power worked and then to change it in the direction of a Marxist anarchist utopia. Though he spent most of his life in libraries and seminar rooms, he was a committed revolutionary figure. He met with enormous popularity in elite Parisian intellectual circles. Jean-Paul Sartre admired him deeply, and he still maintains a wide following among young people studying at university in a prosperous corner of the world. His background, which he was extremely reluctant ever to talk about and tried to prevent journalists from interviewing at all costs. Foucault once entered the underground gay scenes in France. He fell in love with a drug dealer and then took up with a transvestite. For long periods in his 20s, he went to live abroad in Sweden, Poland, and Germany, where he felt his sexuality would be less constrained. All the while, Foucault was progressing up to the French academic ladder. Then, the seismic event to his intellectual life came in the summer of 1953, when Foucault was 27 years old and on holiday with a lover in Italy. There he came across Nietzsche's book, Untimely Meditations, which contains an essay called On the Uses and Abuses of History for Life. In the essay, Nietzsche argued that academics had poisoned our sense of how history should be read and taught. They made it seem as if one should read history in some sort of a disinterested way in order to learn how it all was in the past. But Nietzsche rejected this with sarcastic fury. There was no point learning about the past for its own sake. The only reason to read and study history is to dig out from the past ideas, concepts, and examples which can help us to lead a better life in our own times. The essay liberated Foucault intellectually as nothing had until then. Immediately, he changed the direction of his work and he decided to become a particular kind of philosophical historian, someone who could look back into the past to help to sort out the urgent issues of his own time. He was ready to publish what is recognized as his first masterpiece. The name of the book is Madness and Civilization. It was published in 1961. The standard view is that we now treat people with mental illness in so much more of a human way than we ever did in the past. After all, we put them in hospitals, give them drugs, and get them looked after by people with PhDs. But this was exactly the attitude that Foucault wished to demolish in Madness and Civilization. In this book, he argued that things way back in the Renaissance were actually far better for the mad than they subsequently became. In the time of Renaissance, the mad were felt to be different rather than crazy. They were thought to possess a kind of wisdom because they demonstrated the limits of reason. They were revered in many circles and were allowed to wander freely. But then, as Foucault's historical researches showed him, in the mid-17th century, a new attitude was born that relentlessly medievalized and institutionalized mentally ill people. No longer were they allowed to live alongside the so-called sane. They were taken away from their families and locked up in asylums